So today we will be discussing two topics only. I will try to keep it as short as possible. The first one is use of the repeater in BurpSuit. Okay, it's a tab actually in BurpSuit, and then we will be going through the use of intruder in BurpSuit as well. So let's get into it. I will start my BurpSuit first. So yeah, let's start it, and then we'll go through the repeater functionality first, and then we'll be moving on to the intruder. So here, as always, we'll click on start burp, and it should start. And in just for explanation, I will be referring to that website testphp.vulnweb.com that we always do some testing on. So here we yesterday we discussed about dashboard, target, proxy. Under proxy also we discussed about intercept, HTTP history, WebSocket history, and options, few of the options here. And also we talked about few options under the user options section as well. So like how you can increase the font size here of your BurpSuit. Okay, so that part we discussed yesterday. Now let's focus on these two parts, repeater and intruder. We'll first go with repeater first because it's easier, much easier compared to intruder. There is not a lot of functionality here. So we'll cover that. Then we'll be moving on to the intruder part. So let's first of all, let's start our BurpSuit's embedded browser. So whatever we are going to access on this embedded browser, that will be going through our BurpSuit. So our BurpSuit will be intercepting everything that is going through. This is the browser that is started when we clicked on open browser. So now we will be accessing few websites here, and then I will try to explain what is the use of repeater. So suppose you access this website. Okay, this is a testing website only, testphp.vulnweb.com, right? Now suppose you go to sign up option. Here you have test, the username and password, valid username and password is test and test. Suppose what you want to do, you want to intercept this request, right? This test and test request. So what you can do, you can put test and test here, but before sending this request, like before clicking on login, you just turn your intercept on under the proxy and intercept section. So when you do it, if you click on login, the request will be sent to BurpSuit first. It is going to intercept that request. Now this request that you are seeing right now, right? This is actually triggered by some of the backend of this browser only. We are not interested in this request. So what we can do, we can drop this request, okay? Which will mean that that request is not forwarded to wherever it was going, okay? So now focus on this part. When I click on login, you see that a request is being sent to this domain on this particular path, userinfo.php, and that is a post request. In post request, we always send a request body. So that this is the request body where we are sending username as test, password as test. Okay. Now, what if I want to run some kind of, like, I want to forward this request again and again? Okay. Just for some testing purposes, I want to keep changing different part of this request, and I want to keep sending that request to find a bug. Okay. If I utilize this intercept functionality right now, what I can do, I can only modify it once, okay, and then I can forward it. Like I can change any of the data from here. Like if I want to, instead of sending test, right, if I want to send test1 as username, okay, and in password also I am sending test1, right? So now if I forward this request, it will go to server. Server will respond when if it server will check whether this credential is valid. If it is valid, it will forward us to the, like after the login page, it will forward us there. Otherwise it will give an error. So let's see, right now we have given the wrong username password. So let's forward this request, and you can see that there is again a request is coming and nothing happened, like we didn't get in because the username and password was invalid. Now what I was saying earlier, we did change some of the data from that request, right? We changed the username test to test1, password to test1. But if you want to keep changing in the request, that you will again have to like log in here, then intercept here, then keep making those changes. Now the solution of this, like all this conversion job, is utilizing the repeater. So repeater doesn't do, like from the name itself it is clear that it repeats the request, okay? So how you can send a particular request to repeater? You just right click on any of the request. Okay, you can right click directly from here, like where you have intercepted the request, or you can also right click from your HTTP history, like where you have all the requests that you sent in past. From there as well, once you select it by left click and right click on it, you can send it to repeater. Okay, so from wherever you want, you can send it. We will send it from intercept, like right now we have intercepted this request. I will right click and send it to repeater. As soon as I send it to repeater, you can see that this repeater tag has turned a bit in orange. It will stay like that for a while. After that it will go normal, just to show us that yeah, request is sent to repeater. Okay, there is also one shortcut, control R, that also if you press whenever you have a request opened on your screen, if you press control R, that request will be sent to the repeater. Okay, that also you can do.
Okay, okay,
I will show
fine.
you how it looks in repeater. It will look exactly the same actually. Okay. Now from this intercept, okay, I will just forward this request with valid credentials only to the server, and you will see that we will forward all of these requests. These are not actually from this particular uh, website actually. I will turn the intercept off. Okay, we are not going to intercept any more requests. You can see on this page there are some injections done by some other people because they are also testing on the same website. That is fine. We are not worried about that. Let's go to the repeater part now. So let me turn it into full screen. Here you can see that the request that we send to the repeater, right, that is as it is here. Now I can make any changes and send that request directly, okay, without intercepting that request again and again. Like I can make any changes. For example, I can change the username to test1, password as test only. I can send this request. I can see what is the response. So in the response it is saying 302. Earlier we discussed about these HTTP status codes. So it means that redirect is happening. Like it is asking us to go to a different URL, and that different URL is going to login.php. Why it is redirecting us to login.php? Because our credentials were not valid. If our credentials have been valid, it would redirect us to the profile page actually, where we would be able to edit our username, name and everything. I will show you that as well. So let's suppose we send the valid username and password, test and test. Now let's see. Now what we are doing is like on the fly only we are changing in the request, right? So that is the use of repeater. You can send the request again and again using this repeater only. So now with valid credentials, if you try to send this request, you will see that we'll get a different response. Okay, send, and see this time you get a 200, okay, which means actually success. And in the response you get a set cookie. Earlier we have discussed about cookies. So cookies are used for the authentication purpose. So now it is asking us to use this cookie for all the subsequent requests. Okay, this cookie we have to send in all the upcoming requests so that the server is able to identify whether we are logged in or not. Okay, so these concepts we have already discussed. I'm not going to go into that, but you can see that when we provided valid credentials, we got different output, right? We got this HTML body as well. Let's try to render this HTML body. So we have a function here, render. If you click here, it will render that HTML code, whatever is received. So you can see this is what will be shown once you provide valid username and password. Then this page you will be redirected to, which in raw format it looks something like this. This is the whole HTML, JavaScript, CSS code, but from a user's perspective it will look something like this. Okay, so whenever you provide a valid credentials, you will see this page. Okay, so from repeaters perspective, like suppose I want to make any other changes, like these are the request headers, right? I want to make any changes in these headers, that also I can do directly here only, like 20 to 19. Okay, so if I send it, it's not going to send a 19 actually, because content length actually means whatever body you are sending, the number of characters in that. So it is always 20. You cannot modify it. Even if you do, it's not going to work. So other these headers also you can change. For example, in the user agent, if you try to send like test, and let's see if that works out. Like user agent mostly means what browser we are using or from where we are sending the request. Earlier it was something like Chrome, right? We were sending this request from a Chrome browser, but let's see if we can change it to test. Let's send the request. and the website is not being affected even though we are sending it from a user agent called test, because it doesn't care about that particular request header. Okay, so what it means is from repeater you can change these request headers, right? You can change the target website name here, you can change the target path here, you can change the http method as well, like it is post, you can change it to get, put, patch, whatever it is. We have discussed these earlier, so you can change it. Okay, also in the request body also you can make changes in the request body on the fly only. Okay, you don't have to intercept the request again, and like from here you don't have to intercept the request. Once you send a request to repeater, you can make any changes to it and forward it, and the server would respond accordingly based on whatever request you are sending. um, that's all for today. Thanks guys for joining.